most rewarding gig you've ever done and why?
The most rewarding gig, actually, the most rewarding. Well, no, this is not for me. It's not the most rewarding, but I did the Royal Variety Show last year in front of the Queen, and I think I was the first black comic to do it for something like 10 or 15 years, and just to see my mum's face go, "You met the Queen," was enough for me. Also, gigs where I did a show here 2 years ago in one of the venues around the back where I tackled homosexuality, and at the end of the gig, this young kid, about 18 years old, came up to me, literally as soon as I left the venue. He went, "I've just seen your show and I thought it was really, really good, and I'm going to tell all my mates that I'm gay and I've got nothing to be ashamed of." And it was like, oh, it was like 18 and white. You know, I was just like, oh.
That's so lovely.
No, I've ruined it now.
Stop.
I didn't do the bit on the end. I didn't do that.
And what kind of comedy does the Queen like?
It's weird because I don't know if you've seen the Royal Variety ever, because it's not the sort of thing young hip people watch anymore. But it was
young and hip. Wow.
Well, you look at it, you've got a funky haircut. Oh. It was in Liverpool. It was a 3-hour show. She's what, 80 or something, and they had Bon Jovi on. They had Seal was on. They had all these. I was surprised she was still there. And what was the weirdest thing about it was that all these people had paid like, I think 150, 300 pounds for seats in the front, and it was all black tie. And whenever I told a joke, you could see them all do that, looking in the royal box to see if them were laughing.
Like in Shakespeare in Love,
yeah,
when the check and see if Elizabeth I is laughing.
So it was just like, oh.
Wow, times haven't changed at all.
No.
Wow. Have you ever had any really hostile receptions?
Not for a long time, I've got to say. Early on in my career, I did the hideous thing that most comics do. There's a sea of people out there laughing. There's one guy not laughing. And I just went, "Mate, why aren't you laughing? People around you are laughing. Come on." Nothing. Everyone else is hit. Can't you hear that laugh? Ah. The guy next to him goes, "Listen, he doesn't talk to niggers." Yeah. How do you deal with that?
In your shows, do you rely on the crowd responding to you? Do you rely on hecklers or not?
Oh, no. I don't think any comic relies on a heckler. That's a myth. I've had heckles, as many other comics have. To suggest that we rely on hecklers suggests that we have no material at all. I rely on a reaction from an audience, because you can either ride the wave, or those are the little skills that you learn. Ride the wave or pull it back a bit. They're laughing too hard. And just get a kind of rhythm going on.
So if you had a very well behaved, very polite audience that laughed but kind of politely and didn't really say anything, would you find that harder?
No, not at all. You tend to get that, I've got to say, in theatre gigs, because of it's a theatre environment. It's very, very, they've paid a bit more money, and it's all very plush seats, and so they're a bit more like, ooh. I just, as long as they get it, if they're laughing in the right places, then I know I'm on a winner. If they're sitting there like that going, not a good thing.
What topics do you consider to be taboo in comedy, or is there no such thing as taboo?
I personally don't think there's anything remotely taboo. It's purely and simply down to the intent. For example, paedophilia or child abuse, if a comic has been, I've seen comics try and do child abuse material and it just doesn't work. I've also seen a comic who has been abused as a child do his material and it bloody works, because the intent is clear. If there was any grey area and the audience don't get it, you're in trouble. I wouldn't profess to know everything about anything, so I wouldn't do jokes that I personally couldn't follow through or back up.
So you have to kind of live the stuff before you make it into comedy.
Well, I think if it's something quite taboo, unless you're a brilliant gag writer and unless the intent is clear, you don't necessarily have to live it, but the intent has to be clear. But I think it's always quite interesting, because the audience kind of can tell your sincerity, your honesty, and I think from your performance, your integrity and your honesty, because I've been doing this for nearly 15 years. Being funny, the jazz hands, that's easy for me now. To tackle a subject and try and make it interesting and informative and funny, that's the hard part.
How are you going to be spending the rest of the Fringe outside of your 2 shows? What are you going to be doing to enjoy yourself?
Well, also during this Fringe, I'm hosting Late and Live every Sunday, hosting BBC Stand-Up Show every Thursday, hosting Best of the Fest every, I think it's one other day. So I'm keeping very busy, and I don't ever want to see shows really before I'm going to go on stage. Because what if it's really funny or really emotional or really, you know, then I'll go into my show like that. Not good for me.
Well, Stephen, it's been a pleasure to meet you. Good luck, and I hope it all goes really well for you.
Thank you very much indeed.